Welcome to GrayPrimer. My name is Nick. I'm your host, and this is the final day of our tank weekend. And we're going to end with something less rolly around and something more stompy, with the War Pulpit from Raging Heroes. So I know it's not a tank. I know it's technically just a big, heavy armored walker. I could have had a walker weekend. A walker weekend. It just it feels like a tank to me. I mean, look at it. It's just so stompy and aggressive and heavily armored and heavily armed. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. No one's gonna stop me now. It's done. Unless YouTube says, hey, that's not a tank. Take it off. And I'll be like, okay. So I did have a Raging Heroes weekend not that long ago. I'll link it down below. And within that, I was looking at some of their resin Sisters of Eternal Mercy kits. And they were pretty fantastic. You know, check out the reviews for more detail. But this is a different beast altogether. This is one of their big walkers. They do have a range of walkers, and you can check those out on ragingheroes.com. They look pretty spectacular. The renders look incredible. I'm really interested to see if they live up to that promise. Certainly the other Raging Heroes stuff I looked at lived up to the promise. It really did it. The quality matched the renders, the concept art, the images on their website, all that stuff. So I'm really hoping this does as well. Let's get into it and see. Back in a sec. I can't actually believe that I have the War Pulpit on the table here. This is a miniature that has been in my shopping basket over at Raging Heroes for I don't know how long. I think this is actually the second iteration of the miniature. I think I've had the first iteration of it until it was no longer available. I replaced it with the second. Apparently this is an easier to build one. I have no context on what the first version of it was like. I know that Raging Heroes, when you purchase stuff from them, they send you an email with links in the email to building instructions, which is kind of cool. There are also video guides on YouTube that I've seen. I think that it's Raging Heroes who put those out. I'm sure there are independent ones as well. But anyway, I'm going to have a look at this out of the bag and see what we're looking at here. You can see the scale here, the size comparison between this and this, which is great. I'm guessing this is a 32mm scale model, but we'll see. You can see how these come out of their sort of manufacturing on these strange curved sprues. I guess they're in a round when they go in to be molded. You can see that it is incredibly detailed. Like, that's nuts just how deep in that detail goes. And let's flip it around. Whoa. The skulls and chains, the tassels and everything there. Everything has that good, that religious edge to it. Like really opulent. And we've got two weapons arms. Again, that sort of socket to them. This one has a very serious looking saw blade on it. You can see some of the residue from the resin printing there, so that'll just need trimmed off. It doesn't look like there's a huge amount of cleanup to be done on these. Hopefully you're getting a feel for the level of detail I'm seeing here. And again, just some cleanup at the back there. But it doesn't look like it's too severe. It doesn't look like it's too much work. So lots of component parts here. There's a whole selection. There's another weapon. It's got a slight curve to it. I'm not sure. Maybe a tiny bend. And then we have High Preacher Almeriah, or Almeria, which is nice. This looks like a knee pad, just loose from the sprue, but exquisite detail on it. Really beautiful. And then this is the main sort of organ that's, you can see it at the back here. From first inspection, there appears to be no difference between what we're seeing in these, what I thought were renders, and the actual physical miniature. The detail seems to be, the level of detail seems to be maintained, most noticeably in elements of it like this. Like, that just blows my mind. Beautiful. So yeah, I don't think there's a huge amount of cleanup to do in this, but I'll be able to report more accurately on that afterwards. So one of the little quirks of a resin miniature like this is that you have to use a glue other than polystyrene cement or plastic cement. You need probably just a good quality super glue. You can get them in all different sort of thicknesses. You can get like gels and liquids and low odor liquids, and it really, whatever works for you, use that. There are large pieces in this, so I am concerned that I may need to be thinking about pinning it as well to support it. I will see, but I am so excited to get this built. I'll do all of that and come back to you. See you soon. Alright, so we're into the home stretch of our tank weekend. And here we have our first vertical tank. I know I'm reaching there, but still, look at this thing. It's incredible. It just looks too cool for school. And as you can see from the redacted area, I have just protected their modesty here a little bit. Really just because I don't want to get the video pulled from YouTube. And it's looking pretty amazing. So let's break it down here. We have the High Preacher Almeriah, I think she's called. She's holding up this goblet here. I realized that when I built it, there's it flat on the ground. You can see the goblet's kind of off here. So if I was going to paint this, I'd probably get some Yoo-hoo glue and get me a dribble effect coming off the back of that to give it the sense that she's spilling the wine or blood or whatever it is. The characters at the front here, the people who are chained to the front of the war pulpit, they come in two scales. So I think it's 28mm and 32mm. So I went with the slightly larger figures here, the 32mm, and I actually used the 228s at the back of the Pillar of Faith, which was on day one of the tank weekend. The weaponry on this is pretty special. I added some Adepta Sororitas iconography here. I used some of the shields. I think these were from the Sisters of Taliarium kit from Shield Wolf. So I popped one onto each side there. Yeah, there's the other one. Just to give it that sort of feeling of the fleur-de-lis, to get some continuity there. I also added some purity seals here from Warhammer on either side. Yep. And I think there's a little banner just hanging off the back here as well, which then came from maybe a Dreadnought kit or something. I'm not 100% sure. Looking at this build though, looking at the way this is sculpted, the really nice way it is actually glued together, it just looks like a beautiful, beautiful kit. And I don't really know how this thing drives, whether it's, a sentient organism in here, whether it's like a Dreadnought where you have the machine spirit that combines with the remains of some previous sort of warrior in there, or whether it's actually like psi-linked to this preacher who's holding this, fantastic sort of scroll here. Sort of her naughty list, I would imagine. Or it's probably a list of prayers or something, or saints or something like that. But anyway, I kind of went with, let's have this psi-linked. So when she raises her right arm, we've got a right arm up here as well. I thought that would be kind of cool. With her left arm down, I left this left arm down. I thought that kind of made it pretty special, that it was whatever she was doing, the machine was doing as well, because it was connected to her mind. Great detail throughout. Some pretty, lethal looking weaponry on either side. Got this much larger barrel here, two smaller barrels. We had this, autocannon, I guess, hanging underneath this, I can't remember what the Sisters of Mercy call that weapon. I just looked it up there, so it's a penitent buzzblade. That's what this guy would be here if it was on a Adepta Sororitas. So after the weaponry, look at the rest of the details. Lots of, intricate mechanical stuff going on. You can see the structure of the leg here. how this all comes together. It all makes mechanical sense, you know, from a layman's perspective. It seems to fit. You've got these screaming sort of knee pads. There, I think, are other sort of screaming faces. Yeah, there's one in the center here. And some more stuff down in here. Skulls hanging off it as well. And then going up into the pulpit itself, there's lots of chains across stuff, and there's candles burning. We've got the preacher herself, and behind her all these organ pipes. All this sort of cathedral-looking bits and pieces at the back where just, you know, there's so much detail in these. There's so much has been sculpted into them. They're beautiful. Cleanup-wise, there was quite a lot to do. There were a lot of mold lines. I've left this unprimed, so you can see probably areas where I've had to work into the resin. And the only real, apart from sort of the cleanup that had to be done, the only thing which caused me pause was the feet here. This part on one side. Listen, this guy has 2 left feet, let's just say. This construction here is supposed to be different in each side, but I actually got 2 of one of them. So I had to modify it slightly to fit into the other side. You would honestly never know that the war pulpit has 2 left feet, or possibly 2 right feet, I can't remember. It looks fantastic. It's actually beautifully made, beautifully sculpted. It's incredibly dramatic looking. Let me just show you it beside a Dreadnought to give you an idea of scale. Here's my most recent Dreadnought, which is a Death Company one. And you can get an idea now of just the height of this thing. Double the size of a Dreadnought. And I'm just going to grab a Captain Donato here to give you an idea of the scale against a big old Space Marine. So about 3 times the height of a Space Marine, about twice the height of a Dreadnought. And finally, I'll just put him up against a Battle Predator there. And you can get an idea of the scale beside a Battle Predator. So, pretty big. Alright, pretty big. But that is it. That's the war pulpit. And much like the Sisters of Eternal Mercy, which I reviewed before from Raging Heroes, I'll put links in the show notes below. This is expensive, but so dramatic, so beautifully sculpted, that it's worth the money. It's one of those things you'd probably only buy once, but it is just spectacular to look at. For sure, it takes a little bit more work to put it together. You just got to be a wee bit more careful. But really, it's worth the effort that you have to put in, the cost that you have to put out. And this will be a miniature that I continue to sort of enjoy looking at and having it as part of my Adepta Sororitas army for, you know, the years to come. Incredibly, incredibly cool. Love it. But that is it. We're at the end of Tank Weekend. Thank you so much if you watched 1 or all 4 or somewhere in between. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to me. If you have any ideas for things you'd like to see on this channel in the weeks and months and years to come, pop them into the comments below. I absolutely love reading those comments, and I love hearing from the faithful in there. There are people who comment on almost every video, and I absolutely love that. Really look forward to that. Best part of the week. And as well as commenting, please like and share. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. You can switch on notifications or you can leave them off. It's up to you. My videos come in pretty much every sort of Friday afternoon, Irish UK time. And occasionally I'll do a special weekend like the one you're just coming to the end of, where I'll do, 3 or 4 different videos over 3 or 4 different days. On the next episode, though, I'm going to leave tanks behind, and I'm going to get into deep water off of Amity Island and have a look at the Jaws board game, and I would love it if you could join me for that. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.